soon you will be heading out and walking in the direction of the Glatt. But first, there will be a short introduction by Nazlı about the practice of walking, as well as the introduction of the second graded exercise, which is linked to the territory that you will be walking through. This talk is, of course, by Nazlı Tümerdem. It is embedded in the, let's say, lecture series within the lecture series, as we introduced in the beginning, My Weather. And Nazlı, of course, is today in a double function of both a guest and a host. Thank you, Nazlı. Nazlı is an architect and researcher and experienced walker, so a person who walks as an artistic practice. She received her bachelor degree in 2008 from Istanbul Technical University and subsequently a master degree. She was part of a curatorial team of the Turkish Pavilion at Venice Biennial of Architecture in 2016. And in 2018, she completed a PhD on walking titled Istanbul Walkabouts, a critical walking study of northern Istanbul. In September 2019, she joined our chair. So we've been working together now for 3 years. Actually 4 years, first with the scholarship of the Swiss Government Excellence Scholarship. And she brought her walking practice to Zurich and performed many walks actually also with the ETH over the years. Nazlı was also my co-curator in our recent project, The Great Repair, at the Academy of the Arts in Berlin. The exhibition is still on show until January 14th, highly recommended. So welcome, Nazlı.
And welcome everyone once again. This is of course a very much longer introduction, but I am really condensed it, so because we don't really have the time, but I want to make a few points about the practice of walking. So at its essence, walking is about being mobile on the face of the planet. And it can be done almost by everyone. And as bipedals, as bipedals, we of course have to walk around and explore our surroundings, to stay alive, to hunt together and to find shelter. But by doing that, we also leave our footprints on the ground and in a way transform our environment. So we can also think that walking in itself is a way of designing. And so with the introduction of diverse modes of mobility and transportation, making a journey lost its importance maybe over centuries. But however, with the rise of Romanticism, it was again seen as a creative act in itself, and many poets and as well as philosophers kind of centered it on their creative practice and thought it to be necessary part of their artistic production. And in the 19th century, there was also a tectonic shift in modes of mobility. So long distance travel, it became possible for the masses through trains and ships. In a way, travel was democratized, but the experience of traveling lost its exploratory essence. So it was not the journey anymore, but the destination that was important, which led to the commodification of travel and the birth of the figure of the tourist, which is a passive passenger taken into a vessel and transported from A to B to have a ready-made experience. And the landscape itself became a postcard image of itself. And of course, with the voyages down to space, we humans saw the Earth from a distance for the first time in this manner. This was also a paradigm shift, we can say, because for the first time it felt like there has been nowhere that wasn't discovered by man with a capital M, let's say. And also it felt like man could transform the planet as he pleases. So today we are even in a more extreme state with the virtual globe where everything is discovered and known. And this is also our default way of perceiving and also designing the environment. So here is a work of art which in a way questions that. It's by Italian photographer Luigi Ghiri, where he photographs basically not atlases that we all know. So it's a representation of a representation, and we see mountains, valleys, rivers, roads, and these generic reticles which exist in this type of maps. And he claims that when we look at an atlas and see these recognizable patterns, we automatically imagine that we know these places, even though we haven't been there. But of course, he's in a way critically questioning the possibility of this. Like, is it possible when we look at an atlas or a map that all the journeys have already been described and all the possible itineraries traced in front of us? So he's suggesting that this isn't so because we can only know a place if we have been there. And now I would like to mention some people who don't focus on the destination, but on the journey still and the experience of the journey. They choose to be travelers, not passengers and not tourists. So they walk as a mode of exploration, transformation, and artistic creation. There are, of course, many examples, but due to time restraint, I cannot go into the details. But I would like to start with Richard Long, who also proposes walking art. He claims to be also a walking artist, and this is maybe one of the most known examples, a line made by walking, where as a student, he hopped on a train and went down at a random spot and walked back and forwards on this meadow to engrave his movement on the this softscape. And it's a photograph, but also a sculpture which was made on site, where he transformed the earth. And he also has, I mean, all of his work is actually down through these walks. So there are different ways that he represents them, but a lot of is also with words, but also certain diagrams. Here you see like the wind line, and here you see the same walks done in different years and how they are kind of same but different. And there's also Hamish Fulton, who argues walking is an art form in its own right and makes only works based on the experience of walks as well. And then he translates these experiences into diverse media, including photography, illustrations, text, and let's say paintings. Here you see one example of a 31-day road walking journey from the river Rhone to river Danube. He also has done walks in Switzerland. The left one is a 21-day walking journey via the tops of 7 small Engadine mountains, and the other one is where he depicted this boulder. He also made a walk actually in Limat in 2012. He makes also group walks. This was attended by around 500 people, where 2 different groups started from different points along the Limat and met along the way. And there is, of course, Lucius Burckhardt, which I'm sure you all know, and the Spaziergangswissenschaft. So here you see maybe one of the most known examples, the Fahrt nach Tahiti, where they walk around in this derelict area and of an ex-military zone and read out loud these texts that were written by a biologist in one of the voyages of James Cook. So it's in a way kind of people are walking in this area in close to Castle, but they're hearing about Tahiti, and it's in a way makes it possible to think about the alternative futures of this space. Itself maybe can be imagined as a paradise island. So what Burkhardt does is suggest that through walking, we can have this performative, participatory, and projective action, thinking about certain places. And there is the Stalker Collective based in Rome, who advocate that walking in actual territories, which they define as these neglected, unknown, abandoned, invisible areas of cities, as a mode of performative architecture. So this is an example from their Giro di Roma, where they walked for 5 days in these areas, which kind of they put out of this most known touristic image of the city, and they walked in these actual territories, camping there on site, and kind of trying to provoke a debate about the city's peripheries. And instead of these dominant touristic images, they wanted to focus on these counter images of the open countryside, unfinished industrial structures, and mundane highways. I also wanted to give this example by Jane Randall, who considers walking to be a critical special practice. And she joined the walk by this artist group platform, which was about following the course of a buried river in London, a tributary of the Thames. And after this walk, she claims that she has learned so much about the Thames, but also a new way of relating to the city, where this walk offered particular sense of being in the world, an ecological view connecting her to the environment that is both natural and cultural. And this is my walking practice, Istanbul Walkabouts, which I also wanted to quickly share, because through doing more than 300 kilometers of walks in these territories of northern Istanbul, ranging from these landscapes of power to picturesque villages, etc. An archive was created of these territories, and also certain methodologies about how to create the routes, record the walks, and map the walks were also developed. Let's say this is one example, which I refer to as dioramas. And it's about depicting the story of one walk in one image. So this is about how this highway was plunked down in this territory from above, despite all of what is existing on the ground. And this one is about basically this landscape that is going through this irreversible transformation. This is the confluence of the Bosphorus and the Black Sea. And you can see the new bridge, which is connecting the highway over the Bosphorus. And we see stray dogs and bird watchers and dogs and tortoises and other animals and plants that we have encountered on the walk, but also ghosts from the past, like picnickers, which would be on these hills, and also tanker ships, one of them which exploded, which is actually it happened. And we also see this man, the wanderer from Friedrich, which is kind of also maybe a reference to walking art itself, because he stands as this kind of heroic male white walker, which looks from up to certain areas and maybe contemplates about how they will transform. And as Milica mentioned, we have done certain walks as in the chair. One of them was this Zurich walkabout. It was done in the first day of design studio. So we didn't meet inside in the studio, but outside, and walked for the whole day. And like Burkhardt did, we also read excerpts from key texts that were important for our studio. And then we introduced certain mapping methodologies to the students. And after that, they made an exhibition about the walk. And this is a critical walk, which was first time done in 2019. Now our route will be a little bit different, but the idea is similar, and it's about following also this, the water, let's say. And this is a walk I did last week with the first year students. It was done in the evening because the course is at that time. It was about also connecting the Hunkerberg campus to ONA, where we ended up here, and everyone had object trouvé, and we created a pop-up exhibition. So this is the introduction, and I will quickly present the second exercise, which I will also send you an email about, at all of this also in written format. But let's kind of have a quick look to what we will do. So this is related with the walk. It's titled My Monument, Archives of Environmental Control. So based on our collective walk, which we will now perform, the idea is to slow down and observe the territory. And we would like you to observe the invisibilized infrastructures of environmental control as you walk. Our aim will be to notice these human-made elements in the landscape that seek to control the unruly conditions of the weather, and through their ubiquity, they have become so naturalized that we maybe don't even notice them anymore. And this is a term we are borrowing from the artist Robert Smithson. He uses this term monument, and this is based on a walk he did in 1967 when he hopped on a bus in Manhattan and went down in somewhere in New Jersey and walked along the Passaic River and took photographs of these industrial sites and infrastructural objects that are dotting the landscape and that have become mundane, uninteresting, and ubiquitous. So afterwards, he wrote this text, which he framed these objects in the landscape as monuments. And the subtitle of the text is, Has Passaic Replaced Rome as an Eternal City? And here you also see like landscape painting, which is basically about New York University, where the university building is taken and just placed in this kind of also eternal landscape where we are all used to from these landscape paintings, which of course reminds us of this era where let's say the work of 17th century landscape painter Claude Lorraine, where he many times, I mean, not only him, but also many others, portrays these ruins of Rome, these kind of monuments. And in similar manner, Smithson, let's say, takes photographs of these monuments along the industrial ruins, along the Passaic River, in a kind of way to frame and think about these objects in the landscape. So this is the photographs that he took, and all of them has a title. So it could be the Bridge Monument or the Sandbox Monument, the Great Pipes Monument. He also pictured certain monuments from different angles, and the fountain monuments, let's say from side view, fountain monument from bird's eye view, etc. And in a similar manner for this exercise, we would like you to take this term and adapt it to our theme, My Weather. So as you walk, we invite you to detect similar man-made monuments that function as systems of environmental control, of temperature, of air and water flow, illumination, precipitation, material circulation through the environment, etc. How are these monuments connected to each other within the city, and how do they relate to planetary climate crisis? There are, of course, many other artists who focus on monuments. Here is one example, typologies by Hilda and Bernd Becher, where they focus on these industrial objects like winding towers and water towers, or another example by the artist Jimmy Durham, where he was asked to make a work of art for celebrating Rome's foundation. And basically he picked up trash and turned it into this monument. And here it's photographed. You can see San Pietro behind, and maybe he's suggesting some idea of an anti-monument here. And in this sense, we would like to ask you to focus on the walk, what kind of these systems of monuments you will choose. So you may choose to focus on monuments of water infrastructure by following the water systems. Can you trace the ways in which water movement is controlled in the city? And you can focus on Zurich's energy landscape. Can you trace how energy is captured, transformed, stored, and distributed in your selected site in northern Zurich? You can focus on extractivist monuments by analyzing site of resource extraction, historical and current. What types of processes of space making can you uncover? And you can also choose to focus on waste by looking into waste systems. Can you find out how waste is disposed and removed? And you can also choose to focus on pollution control. Can you, let's say, identify monuments of air, soil, water, thermal pollution during the walk? And we will start from here, ONA, and we will end up in Glatt Park, and then we will finish in Leutschenpark. So all of you have taken these exercises. We will do the exercise at the end of the walk. And this is one type of template. We will have several. So this is how you will, what you will use, an A3 template. I will send this to you also. And I wanted to also share quickly some inspirations that we find that we think might also kind of help you out in finding out ways to how to represent. So this is by Larissa Fassler, where she also uses walking as part of her methodology to do these super detailed map drawings, let's say. This is another example by her where you kind of see also this certain course of action. And this is zoom in where you see the amount of detail that she has for these drawings. Then this is one example by Dutch graphic artist. There are many, but what he's doing basically is creating these psychogeographical maps of his walks in Amsterdam. This is another example, and it's done by solely actually walking. So it's the artist uses his body as a geodesic pencil. So he records his walks with GPS and literally walking along, let's say, the fields, around the buildings, on the roads, etc., and makes these drawings. This is one work done by the artist Hans Schabus called Los Angeles River Crossings, where he walked the entire 85 kilometers of the river and documented and mapped this kind of crossings, bridges, etc., and kind of traced them and marked them on these road maps with, let's say, these post-its and color-coded way to depict what type of crossing it is, what forms does it have, etc. This is one work by the Swiss artist, Jan Hochstetter, about a walk he did from Basel to Istanbul. And this is how he documented his walk. And this is one example of sensitive cartography by geographer Elise Olmedo, which I think is also interesting in seeing how this experience of moving through space could also be represented. So this is the exercise you have. There is no concept today, just one paper to do a mental map of the walk, which it will be maybe like a first sketch of your first tracing of these monument systems, which you will focus about environmental control. And see you next week for disappearance of the countryside. So we are just in time. We will start from here and we have an hour to walk and finish in Leutschenpark and have the sketching exercise.
And to like be in the
Anche da
wenn du verlierst,
also wenn du